Good morning and good afternoon. I'm Patrick Anderson, and we're on the Plantinap Low Code Campfire. Nice to see you all. And today our main topic is Open Lines Friday, so we hope everybody brings topics to discuss. The campfire, Low Code Campfire, is a gathering of people in the Plantinap community to get together and share ideas with each other, bring challenges to the group, and hopefully to get ideas for resolving issues you might be having. So we encourage everyone to share and be active in the conversation. All of the campfires are recorded and posted on YouTube. So all the content we talk about during our calls will be there for you to go back and reference and enjoy in the future. We encourage you to subscribe to our Plantinap channel. That's at youtube.com/Plantinap, or you can scan this QR code to subscribe. And that way you'll know when the content is being posted. We have a very simple agenda. We'll do introductions first, and then move into around the campfire with the first call. So that's when anyone can jump in and let us know if they have something they want to discuss with the group. We'll take a look at contributions to our campfire website, community feature requests. We'll hopefully take a look at the Low Code Development Playbook to have a little bit of discussion there. We introduced that in recent calls, and we're hoping that that continues to be a regular installment in the agenda of Low Code Campfire. And then if we have time, we'll get to our dark corners and ghost stories, related to Campfire, of course. So, and then after that, we'll stop the recording at the end of the call and go into our afterglow session, which is where we have a little bit more free-flowing conversation, and we encourage everyone to stay around for that if you're able. So please jump in, share with each other. If you have questions, feel free just to unmute and ask your question, or you can also ask questions in the chat window. Very few guidelines. One important one is that if you have a lot of noise in the background, please keep yourself muted and just unmute when you need to speak, and be courteous to each other. You can submit questions and topics ahead of time by scanning this QR code, if you would like to do that. And with that, we'll move right into hello. So hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
You'll notice that I am the one speaking this morning. Dale's going to just step back a little bit for today, and I'll host. But I'm sure Dale will chime in at some point.
Oh,
he won't be able to contain himself. I'm certain of it.
absolutely correct. I'm just on a time-sensitive project, and I didn't want to share my screen while I'm working furiously away. But I'm here.
Hello, everybody.
Great. Well, let's jump right in here. So, first call. Anybody have anything burning on their mind they want to get to the group?
Just a thank you from everybody that helped maybe it wasn't last week, a week before that, but the big project that I have for the taking in a bunch of information via XML and putting it into a database and then displaying that information. So that all worked out great. And the idea of the first pass where I collected the main records of each of the individuals and then storing the JSON of a couple of key pieces. I did it that way, and it worked out great too.
Awesome. That's glad to hear.
One weird thing about it, and I solved it a very simple way by manipulating the XML, but there's instead of a field being empty, like a tag blank or nothing, and an end tag and nothing in the middle, this system had a value ampersand XSI colon nil equals true, and then slash bracket to basically to say null. So I was fighting with that because I couldn't figure out how to get that piece of JSON translated into null. So the easy thing was to just manipulate the XML to look for that pattern and flatten it, turn it into null, which I did, and that worked out great. So
Cool. Those are good pointers there. Anybody else? And this can be success stories also, just like Don just gave us.
Yeah, this is Mark. Sorry, I was fiddling with my camera. I didn't get it right yet. I wanted to say also, start off with a thank you to Patrick. You provided what I needed earlier this week. That was the ability to access the list that was behind an action grid already built into that. And that really worked a trick for me. I want to let you know that that worked well. And one of the aspects, the reason why I really wanted that one instead of building my own list is that it really seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is pulling even the computed columns that I am making.
Yeah.
With the changes that I'm making inside the computed columns, and it's putting that right into the list, which I would have had to have rebuilt if I made my own list. And so it just made sense to just get it from the list that was already there. So thank you. Worked
Awesome.
great.
Well, there's a little bit of a story behind that I feel like I've got to pass on. Is that that involved both Dale and I. And when you sent me that email, I thought I can't remember. I was struggling. I was thinking what was that? And I started looking, and I started realizing, well, this is really hard to find. And so I contacted Dale about it, and we both struggled. And so we we have now made it much easier for us to find, and have a note for us to make it easier for you to find as well in the future. So hopefully that will be something that will be up front and center, and you can just see it in the near future. So it's not a super secret Easter egg that you have to
That's great.
discover.
That's a funny story because I did the same thing. I sat here and stewed about it and thought, now I know they told me this, and I even made a note somewhere, but where the heck is it? And yeah, I tried really hard before bothering you about it. So it's obviously a hard thing to find. So thank you for making plans to make it easier to find.
Yep. And if you if we forget and you ask us again in the future, we before that, we get it up front and center so that people can really see it. We made sure that that it was much easier for us to find again. And yeah.
You know,
Go
a
ahead, Jim.
suggestion, I mean, of course you can do what you want, but it would seem like when you it would be nice right in the action for making a list in the buttons on an action grid.
Right. So what Dale and I were discussing is the idea of putting it in help text right at the root button level, so that you can see that these are lists that are available for you to process on your root buttons.
Great. That sounds great to me.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
For the fun of it, if we run out of other things, it'd probably be fun to cover the to show the magic list as well.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's certainly an undocumented feature.
And when we talk about the magic lists, I think we've discussed this on this call before. You know that when you use the Excel, what's the name of the action? I'll need to bring it up here in a second, but to output your results to your listing results to Excel. If you don't enter any list name, it uses the content that's within your already within your listing, and that is what Dale's referring to when he says the magic list. And Dale, yesterday you discovered that that was also available in the execute actions as well, or was it?
Yeah, there was a, let's see, it was, yes, I think it's going to be available anywhere that you have where it's requesting a list. So yes, if you execute actions, I think, create, and any of the exports, but anything that would, yeah, execute actions for each list entry. I think if you leave that blank, that's what we decided, that you can do that. I'll find that example here in a minute.
Okay.
Quick question. Is this in regards to the, I think it was a forum that you added in, Mark, about being able to put a list into a PDF from a grid?
Yeah.
Is that a different thing?
Directly,
This is what we're
directly
talking about?
related.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would love to see that as well, because I'd love to see what that mechanism is. I did a big project where I generated a whole bunch of PDF information, and probably needed to be, it needed to be a special format. But if there's a, here's a out of the box kind of thing, I'd like to know that.
This was not out of the box. In fact, that was one of the things that I was thinking as I needed to build my own PDF, which was really just the contents of the action grid. And I was thinking that, gee, there ought to be a way to just turn on or use a feature that already converts an action grid into a PDF list, a list that would print in a PDF. It seems to me like that is achievable, because you can just make an index of what columns are in there, and maybe flag the ones that you want and you don't. But it seems to me like that could be automated, or at least close to automated. I thought about building a workflow that would do it, and I thought about how much work that would be, and I just resorted to doing the project at hand. So there's a feature request, guys. It'd be nice to just hit a button to turn your action grid into a PDF.
Yeah. So here's the magic list idea that Dale was just referring to. So in this list to JSON here, if you just leave this list name blank, this is in the context of I'm in a listing. And so in this context of being in a listing, if I leave this list name blank, it actually pulls the data that's in the listing right now. And that is similar to the create Excel from list. Leaving this blank will use the data that's in the that's already here. So I'm going to I'll close this. I'm just going to reload the page. I didn't make any changes. If I click this context, that button is running the list to JSON, and then we're outputting the JSON here. And actually, no, this is outputting the tokens. You changed this yesterday, didn't you, Dale?
I'm sorry, it's all my fault.
Let's see here. Putting it into my JSON.
Yeah, so that's the tokens button.
So if we just take this here, actually those putting into a list, so yeah. But anyway, yes, so this is putting taking the list and putting in the JSON. So yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, we can just change this here and save that way. This. So there we go. You can see that we have the JSON of all the content that's in the listing, without actually having to declare a list name in the list JSON action.
And so for like things like what Mark you were talking about, or creating a PDF, I mean, once you have a list, you can iterate through it, no problem. I would be surprised if we did a list to PDF action just because everybody's going to want to format it differently. But if we give you the tools, you should be good to go.
If did we test the execute actions? I guess we could do that live if you want to.
That's exciting.
So are you guys going to document that that thing you just demonstrated by leaving the list name empty? Seems like you could put a comment right under the spot where you're typing in the list name and take care of it right there.
Yeah, it does seem like that, doesn't it? So we're going to take this and we're going to move it up above. We're going to move it right up to the top here. We're going to leave list name blank, and we know that let's just see here. We have I'm going to use first name and last name. The problem though with this is that I'm not sure about is that without a list name in the execute actions, how do I reference the values? Is it just blank colon? I'm not sure about that. So this might actually require the and just so everybody is aware, that super secret list name is that action grid entry. But I think it's worth just seeing just for a second here if we're going to try a log event, make it have an alert, add, and this seems pretty crazy, but this is what I'm going to do. And I put a semicolon there. Let's make sure it's the right thing. All right, let's see what happens here. So this makes sense so far, right? I'm not declaring a list name, and my tokens are just going to be blank colon first name and blank colon last name, and we're doing an admin alert. Okay, let's save that, reload the page. I still got my, but that's okay. Let's see what we have in the, if we have anything in the log. So to duplicate this, go to configuration, logs. Look at that. I got exactly what I typed in. So that does not work. Okay, so then let's take this one step further. Go back to users grid, buttons, context, and here we're going to do
If you left it blank, but put into the log action grid entry colon first name for the log event, and see if it grabs action grid entry as the list name if it's blank.
That's an idea. That's yeah. I mean, I'll try this first, and then maybe we'll try that just to see if maybe that's what's going on. Maybe it's exactly there. So I'm gonna do. Okay. There we go. There were some blank first names and last names in there, but we do have results. So that worked. So now let's one last thing here. Let's just for grins, see if we can see if Don's proposal is neat. Okay. Looks like Don's proposal is true also. So that list called action grid entry is being assumed if there's not a list name entered. Good call, Don.
Purely hypothesis.
So then just to finish the, if you had selection enabled, there is the list name, and you want to specify just the items that are selected. You simply add to your list name. It is, did I have that on my clipboard? Let me see. Yep, I did. Colon selected, and that will pull just the items that are currently selected in the listing.
It's another nuance.
Yep. And then there was one other one that I'm not.
Question. In
Yes.
a situation like that, then how do you reference the field name?
Good question, and maybe we should give that a try. But I think, as crazy as it seems, it would be action grid entry colon selected colon field name. But I'm assuming in your situation you weren't doing that, Mark, because if you have selection enabled, then you actually have the per item actions that you can use. So but let's just I'm blanking here. Somebody help me out here. What do I need to do? Oh, on the button itself. That's it. Yeah. So do I want to do it? Yeah, that's fine. We can do it here. So enable selection. I won't. Yeah, I'm not going to change anything else. We'll just leave it like this. So then what I was saying, what I was just referencing is the fact that now, so these actions that I've been using are now, they're still listed under actions, but now I have these per item actions. So I actually could iterate the selected items with doing specific actions for each selected item. I could do that here, but let's just leave those blank, and we're going to go here, and I'm going to copy that. And save it like that. Reload this. Okay, so now I'm going to choose just ones that actually have a first name and last name. We'll choose those. We have 4 items selected. Click on context. Go back to my admin. Reload it. And 24, yep, that's correct. 24 past the hour, and it looks like those tokens worked.
Okay.
What do you know?
Good to know.
Yeah, a good question, Ben. That makes sense, because it does seem a little bit odd that that's the syntax, but indeed it is.
You wouldn't need that word selected if you check that option in the settings to iterate through the ones that were selected, right? That would be, isn't that redundant at this point?
It really is, because yeah, if you have selection enabled for the button, then you have that ability to use the
Iterate through the selected.
yeah, to iterate through the selected items, because that's exactly what this is doing right here. This is taking each selected item and running whatever actions you need to. Yep. And then it's what I've done in the past to do the type of thing that you're talking about, Mark, is initialize a token to store everything into, and then here keep on building that token, and then on the final action actually create the PDF based on the content that I built during the per item actions. I've done it like that. So, and we've had discussions. I think was it Don, I think, or maybe Matt's not here, but somebody was working on building a PDF somewhat recently. I recall correctly, within the past 2 or 3 months.
I definitely did, but I didn't do anything with allowing them to make selections.
Okay. But you had cumulative data that you needed to add to the PDF, isn't that right? Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished my PDF this morning. It looks great.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy.
So one last point about this. We added or checked the box for allowing selection, but we're still saying that in the execute that we're looking at the selected list.
I see where you're going. You're wondering if I don't say the selected list here, is it going to do them all?
Is it going to do the selected because the checkbox, or are they going to do it all?
Yep. Let's see. I am game. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. We'll select the same ones that we selected before. And go ahead and look at, we're at 27. And looks like it did all of them, not the selected ones. Yep.
Got it.
Because I did
So
not
the
use.
selected button adds the new section where you can do ads. You can add actions specifically to the selected things,
But I could still run
list is
actions
still
for the entire list using that token. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
One more flavor there, Patrick.
Sure.
If you put the selected in the list name, but leave it out of your admin alert.
I suspect that's going to break it. But wait, yeah, I'm willing to go as deep into this as you guys want to. Let's see here. Context. And so we're going to say, so this is what you're saying, right? Colon selected, but this we're just going to leave just like we have here already.
Yeah.
And see if we break it. Okay. Okay. Select a few items. And run it. Didn't get an error. So let's see what happened over here. Okay, we have new items, and well, look at that. That is fascinating.
Perfect.
The token doesn't resolve, so it just comes back to nothing. So.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, it's just giving us nothing. Yep. Well, 27. No, that's going back to the old one. Oh, yep. So, yep, it iterated through my selected items, but the tokens I put in were incorrect. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So I didn't get anything, but it only did it as many times as my selected items because that was the list I gave it. Yep. So yeah, you definitely need to have that the correct list token in there to get your data. Yep.
I have one final.
Okay, let's do it.
What if you don't put a list name in the resolving tokens? Will it default to the list name that you gave it above?
So we tested earlier leaving it all blank, but you're saying leaving the token namespace blank, but give it a list name.
No.
colon.
Where you're getting the admin, that you're dumping out the admin stuff, just take out the list name.
Yeah, no, that's what what I thought you were saying. You're saying leave this like this, right?
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, earlier you tried like this with.
Right, I did
Try
this
no-
earlier with
try no
no
colon.
With
list.
that blank, right, and it resolves. So I'm just curious, is it taking the whatever you typed in above as the default?
Should I leave it as selected because that way we know that yeah. Okay.
I want to play too. Without the colon, Patrick.
Not the colon, I think I don't think that's going to work. Well, yeah, we can try it though.
Well, I've already seen stuff work here today that I didn't think was going to work.
Yeah,
So
right, exactly, yeah.
poking at what the developers have done.
Okay, we got
Low
5
code, no
items.
code, black box.
No
So you're
error.
replicating our daily experience. Try this. Well, let's try that.
Okay, so it looks like we got the 6 items I selected, and it's just giving us the token name. So we definitely need to have, it's just giving, the text I typed in. So the tokens are not resolving there. That's that answer.
You got to try it now with what Dale just suggested.
As long as everyone's entertained, that's all that really matters. Okay, so now we're saying that we're going to leave that like that, and we're going to do, but I think that based on what we just saw, that we probably know the answer to this, but we'll see.
I'm making a note to put this down as a best of episode. Wow.
Okay. 32.
It's the first record.
Yeah.
Over and over. So
Look at that.
Something else.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's just the first one. Yep. So it's not iterating the list. It's simply just getting the result of the first thing over and over again.
That in itself is an interesting side effect. That might be useful.
It could be.
Cool. Any other ones?
I think we thoroughly explored that one.
Yeah, I think we did.
But I do have one more thing. Actually, it's nothing to do with the iterations. It's the specifics. One of the settings for execute actions for each of a list. I don't remember what the name of the thing is. If you can go to the context button and then to the execute and open that. That's it. Context behavior. This got me the other day.
Interesting. This ties into something that Dale wanted to chat about later.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because I got burned. The charges and bonds that we had in the previous project that I just was talking to you about. There's people were getting bonds where they didn't have bonds, and they caught it and I didn't. So I got burned on that. But I just wondered what exactly are those settings and what's the right one to use?
Yeah, this is an ongoing topic that we've talked about a lot. Dale, do you have a demo repro page?
I have one. Yeah. I have one ready. So
okay, and it is under here.
Let me grab hold here for a minute, and I'll.
Okay, sure.
Throw it off. You might have to release.
Oh, do I? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are looking at that. That's kind of been a bit of a mystery.
So I ran into this exact case just yesterday trying to do an import, and here's so let me explain the setup, and then we'll show the difference in these settings. So I have some very simple JSON, 2 records. I've got Joe Blow and John Doe, and I create a list from that, and then I execute actions for each entry over the list. I'm leaving the context behavior blank, and my actions for each one is just to keep adding to result, getting the list first name and the list last name. So when this runs, you get should have just the 2 names. So let's see if that's correct. So we got the 2 names, Joe Blow, John Doe. When you're you don't run into this problem so much when you're doing a SQL data source, but or some very structured data. But if you're running in JSON, each record is not guaranteed to be the same. So, for example, if I got a middle name but not a first name for the second record, this is still valid JSON. But now, so let's see what happens when we change just this much. So we'll save that and run it. So we get Joe Blow and Joe Doe, two Joes. And the reason is that as it's iterating, as that for each is iterating over this block, it gets this record. When it gets to this record, it didn't clear things out, so it's still got Joe left over from the last time. So that way you get unusual circumstances. And Don, I suspect what you're doing, if you're processing XML, for example, could be, even if you turned it into JSON, same characteristics could apply.
Exactly.
So in the for each, if we change this context behavior to don't save the iteration tokens, that means that as we're processing through the list, every time the list is going to get cleared. And so what we're going to see now is record 2 isn't going to have a first name, which is the actuality, right? So we got Joe Blow and then just Doe. It didn't carry it forward. So this then would be this setting, don't save, would be really good if your source list doesn't have regular columns, right? If we were doing a select from SQL, you would always have a first name. Every column would be represented, so when you get to record 2, it would be blank, and so you would be fine. But when you have an irregular data source, this becomes very important. Make sense?
That's also when the information that you're collecting in the loop is you're done with it. Then you could say don't save. But if you're trying to build a string, for instance, then you can't use the don't save. So then you got to use one of the other ones, right?
Well, so just things that exist prior to going into that. So I created a result outside of my loop. And so when I'm in here in for each,
okay,
the result remains because it existed prior, but things that didn't exist inside the loop get destroyed, and so you start with each record.
It would seem to me that the don't save should be the default.
I would absolutely agree with you, but since the choice is what it is, if we were to change it to don't save, it would be a breaking change.
Yeah.
Again, I would guess in a majority of cases where you're dealing with a uniform data source like a SQL or something that returns the same thing over and over again, and it so it's probably why we didn't why it doesn't turn up very often as an issue. But I agree with you. Clearing it would be a good default. Don't save would be, I think, in a regular program it would be
what's the fine point difference between the two versions of the update? Update in initial versus update in original, I think it says.
Yes, let's see. So update in the original and update in the initial. I'm not sure I could explain that in off the top of my head, and I wouldn't want to take the next 20 minutes to do it. So if you want me to take that on as a project, I'd have it.
Didn't we in a campfire and I was looking at on YouTube actually while we were talking about this to see if I could find it, but I thought we kind of did a deep dive almost like the one we just did on this subject a while back. I feel like that's on a campfire somewhere. And because Dale, as you recall, we discovered a change that needed to happen, and I
Yep.
can't remember exactly what it was, but we recently made an update there.
So what you're saying is we just hand out extra points for if somebody can find
The race is on.
Well, just saying, I'm glad you showed us what you did. That helped a lot.
I think you have a workflow somewhere in here also that talks about that, don't you? That's from today.
Gary, that already says March.
Yeah, I don't see it, but anyway, yeah, it's a it also has to do as I recall, it's a kind of it's a definitely a very detailed subject, but as I recall, it has to do also with whether or not you establish your tokens before you start your the iteration of your list. So in other words, in your workflow, if you establish if you put a token into context first, and before you go into your workflow, there's a difference between doing that. I mean, before you go into your execute actions, there's a difference between establishing that token first, and then if you establish it during the process of during the processing of your iteration. And that might be the difference between the initial and original context, actually. But anyway, anybody else have any other thoughts on that?
Nothing on that. A new topic though.
Okay. Yeah.
And it has to do with I think it's Bazinga is what I'm ultimately going to get to, and I'm not sure if that's a released product, still debuting it, not quite there yet, etc. But I have a couple of clients where they're very, very large websites, and probably a good idea because they get a lot of questions on that are repeat questions all the time. And I saw a demo that Bogdan did. Where you ask a question and you get the answer. So how does one go about, where is that, and who do you talk to, and all of that?
Yeah, so we're Bazinga is something we're always improving, but yes, we are actively using it and having clients use it too.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And definitely if you wanted to get a demo that was more detailed and with the context of actually possibly purchasing it, then we can arrange that.
Yeah.
Dale, would you have anything to add?
No, I suspect Don has Bogdan's address.
Yes.
And I would be happy to ask him to reach out to you.
No, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure I'll just go straight and straight to him and ask a couple questions. One of a use case that I mean, everybody's thinking of replacing your customer support people. And then there was a big article the other day about I forget who it is, somebody in Sweden maybe, that it claimed to replace 700 customer service people with higher rankings. Some AI replacement of their customer support thing, which of course didn't look really good for morale for the company and all of that, because it really wasn't that they replaced those people. It's that there was a previous layoff. It just happened to be the same number. And so the media put it together and made it look bad. But at any rate, another use case, not just to do that, but for QA, is to say, how good is your website? let's have AI, go look at your website and then ask a bunch of basic questions that your customers would ask, and see if they got the right answer. And that's based on the fact that you provided the right answers, various pages on the website. And for hundreds of page websites, that would be an interesting way of sorting through it. So, and then ultimately, when they're all happy that, the customer's happy that the questions they've asked of AI of the website is all good, then they may want to turn it on and let the public ask those questions.
That's a very interesting use case, Don. And it seems, just from what I know about it, quite possible. This is our About Us page. Here's the content that's on there. What are we missing?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong?
Yeah.
And give me a bullet point list of things that could be better, and still take human review to say, yeah, we don't really care about that. But
Right, exactly.
And I think Dale's
an
mentioned
idea.
it. Go ahead, Dale. I'm sorry.
Just as an idea generator, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that too, being an idea generator. It helps quite a bit. And then easing somebody into AI where they said, well, yeah, we can't just, I hate chatbots that are out there because, they're so binary that I stop using them quickly and switch over to, try to get a hold of a person. Or I'll just send an email because I know I'm going to go down a path, and I know my question is more complex than what they coded in their very, very basic decision tree chatbot that they did. But AI-based ones, I've seen some pretty impressive answers. So it'd be cool to see what they do. But I know that a number of our clients would say, "Oh, no, we're not going to do that. We can't. The general public will not stand for it." But if they were given it as a testing tool that only they had access to, that they could ask questions and let it be for internal answers and that kind of stuff, and they got used to it and said, "Wow, this is really good. Everyone should have this." Then you can turn it on.
Yep. I think I was just going to mention that I think Dale's mentioned before that that our support center provides we have AI integrated with it, and when we bring up a support ticket for editing, we are suggested an answer by AI, and often that answer I know, like Dale, when you were recently out, one of the answers it provided me, I didn't completely use the answer, but it actually pointed me in the right direction. Right. So it's good at doing that. Dale, I don't know how often you probably don't just use the answer it provides, but I'm sure sometimes you use most or some of the answer it provides.
Exactly. I see Jim wants to play.
Oh, on a different topic, since you put the first call slide back up.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I'm having an issue that is, I don't know if it's a caching issue or a context issue with a workflow. So it seems like an appropriate day to ask the question. I have a workflow that goes out, gets a authentication token and saves it to a database table, and then I have a Plantain app token that later on reads that database table and gets the token when it needs it. But what the Plantain app token is getting back is the expired token that before the database update. If I put a SQL statement in after I've updated done the database update, I get the new value, but the call to the Plantain app token is getting, even though caching is disabled.
So you have for caching, you have the 0 in there, right?
I have 0 on global, and I don't know if maybe if I picked a different value of other on layer, if I would get it. Now, if I come back to that same job later after my authentication fails, I come back and run it again, I'll get the updated token, which is now valid. I'm getting a valid token back out of the database. That's like, I'm just confused if there's on a partial, if I'm doing a partial update, and on that database table to save it. And I don't know if that database context is being cached somewhere.
Jim, just exploring a little bit, do you need the token in a database table?
Yes. Well, I need it someplace to, cut down on the number of calls I'm making to get an authentic. The token's good for 30 minutes.
Sure.
And
the reason that I ask is that we've done this before in and just a slightly different pattern. You already have a workflow that that goes and establishes your token, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So instead of saving the token in a database, if your workflow just returned the token, you can create a workflow token that's cached for 30 minutes or 25 minutes.
Yeah, I would say 25, right?
And
2,500.
So then what happens is you just use the workflow token wherever you need. Excuse me, you use a workflow token wherever you need the bearer token, the authentication token. And if it doesn't have one, it runs the workflow and gets one. If it has one, it's cached for 25 minutes and just continues to get reused. So no database required.
So
I've used that pattern very successfully also.
Okay. Yeah, that would probably, and that's sort of where I was going, because in doing some testing, when I set up an environment to test this, I could see like, oh, okay, my token's coming back and something in that connection out to the database. Yeah, so that's the easy. I hadn't thought about using cache. Usually I work at disabling it. So, so just set that for 25 seconds and let that, rather than putting it out to the database. Actually, I would have to do both, because when it's time to refresh the token, I need to.
No, that's what Dale's saying, is that instead of you would actually, that workflow that you have already, actually make that the token. So I don't know if you have one like that in here, Dale. I'm looking at your site right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just I'll just choose any token here, and you would take the token, instead of saving it to the, so you run your server request to get the token, instead of saving it to the database, actually make it the output of the workflow. And so when you come to make this a token, that token output would be the output you would choose in this dropdown right here, and then you would cache it for just under 30 minutes. So you do the math for, that's what 600 about. Somebody else do the math, but you would it's obviously much more than that, but you would cache it for some amount of time that's just under 30 minutes, and then you never actually save it to the database. So when you use this token, if it's cached, it's the token should still be good. Yeah. And then if it's not cached, then it'll run the workflow again and get a new token that will then be good for 30 minutes.
Okay, and you're using the run workflow in the token there.
Yep.
And then capturing. Okay, yeah, that's a context I haven't used. It may not be in my version. Yeah,
it's been around for a while. What version are you running?
124.
Yeah, definitely the run workflow exists in 1.22.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of doing it that way. So that just simplified. All that's doing is going and running my workflow and putting the result back in the token. Okay. All right. I can go try that.
Cool.
Okay. I'll take my hand down.
Anybody else have any other thoughts on that or a new topic?
How do you put your hand up?
It's down at the bottom of the screen.
It's under reactions?
Yes,
Yeah, reactions.
there's a big button that says raise hand. Everybody raise your hand.
Button more. Nope.
Mark did it.
Recognize hand gestures? No. I'm not seeing it. That's very
Do
strange.
you have a reactions button?
No, you have to click on reactions. Don't click on the arrow for reactions.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. I
You
will
want
raise my hand from now on and not interrupt.
All part of our courtesy program here. Everything nice.
Well, let's see. We didn't get to some of our, but we had a great. So this is one of our new topics that we're trying to get to. We didn't get to it this time, but I think we'll get to it next time. So we'll let that go. Dale, did you want to talk about the multi-file upload briefly?
Sure. This one is somebody had asked, and I don't think I added it as a contribution. I just wanted you to be aware that it's out there. That yeah, the go there.
Oh, go. Yeah.
So you have a multi-file upload. You want them to do 1, 2, or 3 files, but not 85 files. So there's a little bit of logic there that shows how to do that. So when you hit add files, it'll let you add the files, and actually it's looking for, I think text is.
Oh, text only. Okay.
I think might be limited there.
Okay.
You can try it. You can try it. But in any case, there's a little bit of JavaScript there that'll raise an alert and stop the submit if you are at more than the limit of the files. So if you, and then they can't submit until they reduce the number below whatever the limit is. Yep. So hit upload.
Okay. Yep.
So it says can't have more than 2. So if you have access to campfire.planetapp.com, you can see the code behind. Actually, the code's right there. It's
oh yeah, you had it right. Yep.
So it's just putting it on change click. Little logic. You have to change the div there in that first one, but other than that, very straightforward to use and find. Anyway, thought might be helpful for somebody. When I get these questions on support, I like to throw them out here and allow it to be reused.
Good job on that, Dale. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, it's JavaScript, so you know where it came from, but. But I will just point out again, it's another one of these cases of I have this, I need that, tell me how. And by copying out the HTML that our multi-file upload rendered, and asking the question, this is the HTML I have, how can I tell how many files are present? I got a list. I got some ideas on how to do that, and then you fine tune it from there.
Cool. Well, that brings us right to our time here. Let's see. Where's my?
You're looking for that. I'll just say, Patrick, thanks so much for running the discussion today. I've got a time-sensitive thing that I needed to stay on top of. It's running away in the background here, so glad that you could do that. And
Cool. Yeah, certainly. Well, thank you everybody for a very active and fun call, and we appreciate you being here. And until we meet again, happy low coding. And if you have time, please stick around for Afterglow. I'll stop the recording in just a moment. Thanks, everyone.